I met Daniel 5 years ago on a rainy afternoon. I was standing outside a cafe, holding a broken umbrella, looking like a lost puppy. He came up to me with that smile, calm, warm, confident, and offered his umbrella. That small act changed everything. Daniel wasn't just handsome. He was kind, funny, and knew how to listen. We talked for hours that day about books, travel, and dreams. By the end of the week, I already knew. I was falling in love. We moved fast. Too fast, maybe. After just 6 months, we moved in together. He used to wake me up with coffee, leave sweet notes on the fridge, and call me his lucky charm. Everyone said we were perfect. I believed it. 2 years later, he proposed. It wasn't a big event, just us on the beach, watching the sunset. He knelt down, hands shaking, and said, "You make me feel like I finally belong somewhere." Of course I said yes. The months before the wedding were a blur. Flowers, dress fittings, invitations. Daniel seemed happy, but sometimes I caught him staring into space. When I asked what was wrong, he just smiled and said, "Nothing, I'm just tired from work." I wanted to believe him. So I did. The night before our wedding, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how lucky I was. I opened my phone to scroll through old messages. Our first photo, our silly voice notes, everything that made me smile. Then I saw a message. It was from an unknown number, sent just a few minutes ago. It said, "You deserve to know the truth about Daniel. Check his phone before you marry him." My heart stopped. I stared at the screen, waiting for another message, but nothing came. I wanted to delete it, to pretend I never saw it. But curiosity and fear wouldn't let me. I walked to where Daniel's phone was charging. My hands were shaking as I picked it up. It wasn't locked. He never locked his phone. That made me feel a bit better. Until I opened his messages. First, it was all normal. Friends, coworkers, family. Then I saw her name. Lena. I felt something cold crawl up my spine. I opened the chat. The first thing I saw was a photo. Daniel and a woman, in the same cafe where we first met. She was sitting close to him, holding his hand. And below it, a message from her. "Can't wait for tomorrow, love. I'll be thinking of you when she says, 'I do.'" The world went silent. I just stood there, phone in hand, heart breaking one heartbeat at a time. That was the night before our wedding. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, staring at Daniel's phone, reading the same message again and again. My heart felt heavy, my mind was spinning. Was it real? Was he cheating on me? Or was it some kind of mistake? The photo looked real. Her smile, his hand on hers. It didn't look like a friendly picture. It looked like love. At 5 a.m., I heard Daniel moving in the next room. I quickly put the phone back where I found it and lay on the bed, pretending to sleep. He came in, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "Good morning, soon-to-be Mrs. Blake." My stomach turned. How could he sound so calm? How could he act like nothing was wrong? I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask, "Who is Lena?" But I didn't. I smiled and said, "Good morning." All morning I felt like a ghost in my own body. My friends laughed, helped me get ready, did my hair, my makeup. Everyone said I looked beautiful. But inside I was breaking. I kept thinking about that message. "I'll be thinking of you when she says, 'I do.'" Did that mean Lena would be at the wedding, watching us? At the church, people started to arrive. Music played softly. I looked around, scanning faces, trying to spot someone who didn't belong. And then I saw her. A woman in a light blue dress, standing at the back. She had long brown hair and red lipstick. She was looking straight at Daniel. And when he saw her, even just for a second, his smile disappeared. That was all I needed to know. It was her. Lena. The ceremony started. I stood beside him, my hands cold, my heart racing. The priest spoke about love and trust. Each word cut through me like a knife. Daniel held my hands and looked into my eyes. "I promise to love you, to protect you, and to stay true." True. The word echoed in my head. I almost laughed. He was lying in front of everyone. When it was my turn, my voice shook. I promise to love you. I said softly. But I couldn't finish the rest. The priest smiled kindly, thinking I was emotional. Daniel squeezed my hand, whispering, "It's okay." I looked at him, really looked. He looked perfect. In control. But behind those kind eyes, I saw something cold. The ceremony ended. Everyone clapped and cheered. We were married. But I didn't feel married, I felt trapped. At the reception, I couldn't stop watching him. He was talking, laughing, dancing. Every time he smiled, I wondered if he was thinking of her. Then, during dinner, a waiter came to our table with a small envelope. "This was left for you, Mrs. Blake." Froze. The handwriting on it was elegant. No name. Daniel looked at it too, then quickly said, "Probably from your friends." But I could see it in his eyes, fear. My hands trembled as I opened the envelope. Inside was a single piece of paper. Just one sentence written in black ink. "He's not who you think he is. Meet me at the old pier tonight, alone." I looked up, but the waiter was gone. Daniel was staring at me, pale, his smile forced. "What's wrong?" he asked softly. I folded the note and hid it under my napkin. "Nothing," I said. But inside my heart was pounding. 'Cause now I had a choice. To ignore it or find out the truth. That night, while everyone was dancing and celebrating our love, I made my decision. I was going to the pier. Alone. The wedding ended late. Guests were laughing, music was playing, and everyone said we looked like the happiest couple in the world. But I felt like a stranger in my own skin. All I could think about was that note. "He's not who you think he is. Meet me at the old pier tonight, alone." The old pier was outside the city, quiet, dark, and usually empty at night. It was the place Daniel once told me he went when he needed to clear his head. Maybe that's why the message said to meet there. By midnight, everyone was drunk or dancing. I told Daniel I needed some air, and he kissed my cheek. "Don't stay out too long, my love," he said. His voice sounded sweet, but I didn't believe a word. I changed out of my wedding dress and into a simple white shirt and jeans. My hands were shaking as I left the hotel. The night air was cold. The streets were quiet. When I reached the pier, the moonlight shimmered on the water. The wooden boards creaked under my feet. The only sound was the soft crash of waves. Then I saw a shadow. Someone was standing near the edge. "Hello," I said softly. No answer. I took a few steps closer. It was a woman, wearing the same blue dress I saw at the wedding. Lena. She turned around slowly. Her face was pale, her eyes red like she had been crying. "You came," she whispered. My voice trembled. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" She took a deep breath and said, "I didn't want to hurt you. But you need to know who Daniel really is." My heart started to race. "You were at our wedding," I said. "You called him your love. Are you?" "Yes," she said quietly. "I was his fiancé too." Felt dizzy. "What?" She nodded. "He told me you were just a friend. He said you were helping with our wedding plans." The world spun. My hands went cold. "Our wedding plans," I repeated. Lena looked down, tears in her eyes. "We were supposed to get married next month. Then I found out about your wedding online." I couldn't breathe. "So he was marrying both of us?" "Not just us," she said. "There's someone else too. I think he's been doing this for years." My stomach turned. It didn't make sense. Daniel was kind, gentle, caring. Or maybe that's what he wanted me to think. "Why tell me now?" I asked. Lena's eyes darted past me, toward the dark road behind the pier. "Because I think he knows I found out. He's been following me, watching me." Before she could finish, a sharp sound broke the silence. Car door slammed shut. We both turned. A black car was parked near the edge of the pier road. Headlights off, engine still running. Lena's voice shook. "That's his car." The driver's door opened slowly. I couldn't see his face, just a tall figure stepping out. He started walking toward us. Calm, steady steps echoing against the wood. Lena grabbed my hand. Run, she whispered. But I couldn't move. The man kept coming closer. Under the moonlight, I finally saw his face. It was Daniel. He smiled. Not the sweet smile I knew, but something darker. I told you never to meet her, he said softly. My whole body froze. Lena's grip tightened. Then Daniel reached into his pocket. Something glimmered in his hand. Metallic, small. And before I could react, I heard it. Single sharp click. The sound of that click echoed through the cold night. I froze, thinking it was a gun. But Daniel only held up a small silver lighter. He flicked it open and lit a cigarette, the tiny flame shaking in the wind. He smiled like nothing was wrong. Why did you come here, Emma? His voice was calm, too calm. Lena stepped in front of me. Stop pretending, Daniel. She knows everything. He laughed softly, a sound that made my skin crawl. Everything. No, Lena. You never knew everything. He took a step closer, the cigarette glowing between his fingers. You both should have just stayed quiet. The way he said it, cold, empty. That wasn't the man I married. That wasn't the Daniel who made me coffee every morning. You lied to us, I said, my voice shaking. You used us. Daniel's eyes flashed. Used you. I gave you everything. Both of you. Houses, gifts, love. You were both happy until you started digging. Lena grabbed my hand. He's dangerous. We should go. Daniel's voice cut through her words. Go where, Lena? You think you can run from me again? Again. That word hit me hard. What do you mean again? Asked. Lena's eyes filled with tears. I left him once before, she whispered. When I found out what he did to another woman. Daniel stepped forward, his smile gone now. She's lying, Emma. She's been stalking me for months. She's the reason I changed my number. I looked between them. My mind was spinning. Who was telling the truth? The waves hit the pier harder now. Wind whipped around us, making Lena's dress flutter. Then, in a single motion, Daniel tossed his cigarette into the water and reached into his jacket pocket again. Lena gasped, pulled back. But instead of a weapon, he pulled out a small black phone. He held it up. You want the truth, he said. Here it is. He threw the phone toward me. It slid across the wooden boards, stopping near my feet. The screen was cracked but still lit. A video was open. It showed a woman sitting in a dimly lit room, crying. Behind her, Daniel's voice said, Tell them what you did. The woman's face was bruised. Her voice trembled. I took the money. Please don't hurt me. The video ended. I looked up at Daniel in shock. What is this? He smiled faintly. Proof. Proof that Lena isn't innocent. She blackmailed me, stole from me, and now she's trying to ruin me again. Lena screamed. He made that video. He forced her to say those words. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. Both of them were crying now, shouting, their words mixing with the sound of waves and wind. I didn't know who to believe. But something deep inside whispered that both of them were hiding something. Suddenly, Daniel's phone in my hand buzzed. A new message appeared on the screen. Unknown number. Get away from him. Before it's too late. My stomach dropped. Someone else was watching us. I looked around. The dark water, the empty road, the flickering streetlight at the end of the pier. And then, far in the distance, I saw movement. A figure standing near the parked car. Not Daniel. Not Lena. Someone else. They raised their hand slowly, pointing something shiny toward us. Flash. A loud bang split the air. Lena screamed. Daniel fell to the ground. I dropped the phone, falling to my knees beside him. There was blood on his shirt, spreading fast. He looked up at me, eyes wide. Emma. I didn't. Then his body went still. I turned toward the road, but the figure was already gone. The black car's engine roared and sped away into the darkness. Lena was sobbing, holding her arms around herself. He's dead, she whispered. He's really dead. I looked down at Daniel's lifeless face, my heart numb. But then something caught my eye. His hand still gripping the edge of his jacket. Something small and folded was tucked there. Piece of paper. I pulled it out slowly. On it, written in shaky handwriting, were just 4 words. Don't trust her, Emma. I looked at Lena. Her eyes met mine. She was still crying, but now behind her tears I saw something else. Small cold smile. The sirens came just before sunrise. Blue lights washed across the pier, mixing with the gray of morning. I sat on the cold planks, wrapped in a blanket a police officer had given me. Daniel's body was gone, but the smell of smoke and salt still hung in the air. Lena sat a few meters away, quiet, staring at the water. No one spoke to her. No one spoke to me. We were both the same in their eyes. 2 women, 1 dead man, too many lies. A detective knelt beside me. Mrs. Blake, we need to ask you again. You're saying the shooter was unknown? He nodded. I didn't see the face. Just a shadow. He scribbled something in his notebook. And this other woman, Lena, she was there the entire time? Yes. I glanced at her. She looked fragile, makeup ruined, hands shaking, but when our eyes met, she quickly looked away. The detective sighed. We'll need both of you at the station later today. Try to rest for now. Rest. The word felt useless. How could I rest when my husband was dead and nothing made sense? They took us to a small hotel near the harbor. We each had separate rooms, 2 police officers outside the doors. They said it was for protection. I wasn't sure from whom. I showered, trying to wash away the night, but the image of Daniel's face kept flashing before me. That last look, the blood, and the note in his pocket. Don't trust her, Emma. Or Lena. But how could Daniel have written that? When? And why would he warn me about her if he was the one lying all along? My phone buzzed. Message. Unknown number again. He wasn't your enemy. Look closer. Room 204. My heart pounded. Lena was in room 204. I opened the door slowly. 2 officers were talking near the end of the hall, not paying attention. I slipped out barefoot and knocked on 204. No answer. I tried again. Still nothing. I pushed the handle, it opened. The room was dim, curtains closed. Lena's suitcase lay open on the bed. Inside were clothes. And papers. Lots of papers. Letters, receipts, and old photographs. One photo made my blood run cold. It was Daniel, standing beside a woman I didn't recognize. Dark hair, same blue eyes as Lena. On the back of the photo, a date, 2017. And one word, sister. Looking for something. I spun around. Lena was in the doorway, her voice calm. Her eyes were red but steady now. Who is she? I asked, holding up the photo. She smiled faintly. My twin. Her name was Laura. Was. She's dead. 3 years ago. Her voice trembled just slightly. Daniel killed her. The room went silent. Outside, I could hear the hum of the street and a distant gull. You're lying, I whispered. She stepped closer. He made it look like a car accident. Laura was his first victim. She found out about his fake businesses, the money laundering. Everything. When she tried to leave him, she crashed. I shook my head. Why didn't you go to the police? Lena's smile vanished. Because he was the police once. Didn't you know that? Detective Daniel Blake. He knew how to hide things, and how to make people disappear. The room spun. Daniel, a detective. He never told me that. He said he worked in private security. Lena reached into her pocket and pulled out a small flash drive. Everything's here, names, files, accounts. I took it from his laptop the night before the wedding. That's why he wanted me dead. I didn't move. Then why call me to the pier? She looked away. Because I needed someone innocent to see the truth. Someone they wouldn't suspect. They. Before she could answer, a knock hit the door. A man's voice called. Police. Open up. Lena froze. Her face turned pale. They can't find me with this, she whispered, pressing the flash drive into my hand. Trust me, Emma. Whatever you do, don't give it to them. The knocking grew louder. Room 204, open up now. Lena backed toward the window. I'll explain everything later, she said. Meet me at the lighthouse at sunset. Before I could speak, she slid the window open and disappeared down the fire escape into the morning light. I stood there shaking, the flash drive cold in my hand, the police still pounding at the door. The last thing I heard before I opened it was one of the officers shouting, "Ma'am, we found something at the pier, another body." The police officer's words echoed in my head. Another body. I didn't ask who. I didn't want to know. They questioned me again, but I said very little. All I could think about was the flash drive in my pocket and Lena's last words. Meet me at the lighthouse at sunset. When they finally let me leave the hotel, the sky was turning gold. I walked fast, afraid they might change their minds and call me back. The drive felt heavy, like it was burning through the fabric of my jeans. The lighthouse stood at the edge of the cliffs, alone against the sea. Waves crashed below, sending mist into the air. It looked like a place made for secrets. Inside it was quiet and cold. Old paint peeled from the walls, and the smell of salt filled my nose. Called softly, "Lena." No answer. Only the sound of the wind through broken glass. I climbed the narrow stairs, my hand brushing the rough stone. At the top, the lighthousing was open to the air. Lena was there, sitting on the floor, hugging her knees. She looked exhausted. "You came," she said. "They think I ran away, but I had to finish this." I stepped closer. "Whose body did they find?" She looked down. "An investigator. He was working for Daniel. He followed me after the wedding." Her voice cracked. "Someone shot him before he could reach me." My stomach turned. "Lena, this is getting worse. We need to give the flash drive to the police." "No," she snapped. "You don't understand. Some of the police work for them." She grabbed my arm. "If you give it to them, we're both dead." I pulled my hand free. "Then tell me what's on it." She nodded slowly. "Open it. See for yourself." I pulled my small laptop from my bag. I'd brought it just in case. The drive clicked into place. Folders appeared. Accounts, photos, audio, reports. My heart pounded as I opened one marked personal. There were videos. Daniel talking to men in suits, handing them envelopes, exchanging something that looked like files. One clip showed him shaking hands with a police captain. Another showed him beside a car I recognized, the one from the pier. He was selling case information, Lena said. Blackmail, extortion. He'd pretend to protect people, then rob them later. She swallowed hard. Laura found out. That's why she died. I stared at the screen. Everything I thought I knew about Daniel fell apart. The kind man I married was a criminal. Maybe even a killer. Then I saw a folder named Emma. I clicked it before Lena could stop me. Inside were photos of me, at work, at home, even sleeping. Every moment of my life recorded. "He was watching me," I whispered. Lena's face softened. "He planned everything, Emma. Meeting you, marrying you, all of it. You were his way to hide again. A new identity, a clean start." Felt sick. "Why are you telling me all this now?" She looked at me with tired eyes. "Because they'll come for me next. And if they can't find me, they'll come for you." Before I could speak, a faint hum rose from below, a car engine. Lena's face went pale. "They're here." Closed the laptop fast. "Who?" She shook her head. "I don't know which side. Doesn't matter. We can't stay." We hurried down the stairs. At the door, the headlights hit us. Bright, blinding. Black SUV blocked the path. Two figures stepped out, dressed in dark coats. One of them called out, "Emma Blake. We're with Internal Affairs. Hand over the drive." Lena whispered, "Don't trust them." I looked at the men, badges glinting in the light, and then at Lena, breathing hard, eyes wide. "Prove you're real agents," I said. The taller man stepped forward. "We have orders signed by Captain Harris. Your husband's superior. He held up papers. We know everything. Daniel wasn't acting alone. Lena shook her head violently. He was the superior. Don't you see? It's all fake. I backed away, clutching the flash drive to my chest. Both men started walking closer. Lena turned, grabbed my wrist and whispered, "Run to the cliffs. There's a path down." But before we could move, a single shot rang out. Lena stumbled. Her eyes widened. Blood spread across her shirt. She fell against me, whispering, "Don't let them have it." The men ran forward shouting, but I was already moving, down the cliff path through the fog, holding the drive tight in my hand. When I finally reached the rocky beach below, I looked back up. The lighthouse beam swung across the night, and for just a second, I saw one of the men standing at the railing. He was talking into a phone. The wind carried his words down to me. "She has the file. Just like he said she would." I ran until my legs burned. The rocks were sharp beneath my shoes. The wind so strong it stole my breath. Behind me, voices shouted and lights swung back and forth across the cliffs. I didn't stop. All I could think about was the flash drive clutched in my fist. Lena's blood was still warm on my sleeve. When I reached the edge of the old boathouse, I ducked inside. The air smelled of oil and salt. A single bulb hung from the ceiling, flickering. I pressed my back against the wall and tried to think. Who was the man on the phone? Who was he? Daniel was dead. The men said they were internal affairs, but Lena claimed Daniel was the police. None of it fit. I opened the laptop again. The screen lit the dark room. One folder on the drive was still unopened. Final plan. My hand shook as I clicked it. There was a document, just a few lines. Transfer complete. Emma Blake will sign the account papers after the wedding. Once she disappears, the funds are clean. My chest went cold. He married me for money. For fake name. For a cover. And then I saw the signature at the bottom of the file. Captain Harris. The same name the agents had used. My heart dropped. It was never just Daniel. It was his boss. Maybe the boss. A sound outside, the crunch of gravel. Voices. They were close. I closed the laptop and slipped out the back door, into the dark along the shore. The tide was rising, waves smashing against the rocks. Farther ahead was an old tunnel that used to connect to the main road. If I could reach it, I could escape. Flashlight beams swept past me. I ducked behind a pile of crates. "She can't get far," one of them shouted. I waited until their voices faded, then ran again. The tunnel entrance was half collapsed, but I squeezed through, crawling over wet stones until I reached the other side. A single car sat on the road, a gray sedan, engine idling. For a second I froze. Was it theirs? Or my chance? Then the driver's window rolled down. A woman's face appeared. Short hair, dark eyes, steady voice. "Emma Blake. Get in. I'm Agent Reed. Real internal affairs." I hesitated. "Prove it." She tossed me her badge. It looked real, but so had the others. "We've been tracking Harris for months," she said. "Lena was one of our informants." My throat tightened. "She's dead." Agent Reed's jaw tightened. "Then he's cleaning house. Get in before you're next." Every part of me screamed not to trust anyone, but I had nowhere left to run. I slid into the passenger seat. As the car sped through the fog, she spoke quickly. "The flash drive. Did you open the last file?" "Yes. It names Harris." "Good. That's what we needed." I watched the road ahead, my hands gripping the drive. Something felt wrong. Too easy. Too smooth. Then I saw it. The reflection of her wristwatch. The same logo I'd seen on Daniel's secret documents. Harris Industries. My blood went cold. "You work for him," I whispered. She smiled slightly. "Smart girl." The tires screeched as I grabbed the steering wheel and pulled. The car swerved, hit the guardrail and spun out. Glass shattered. The world turned white. When I opened my eyes, smoke filled the air. Agent Reed was gone. The driver's door hung open. The laptop was broken, but the flash drive was still in my hand, cracked but whole. In the distance, sirens again. Real ones this time, or maybe not. I couldn't tell anymore. I stumbled out of the wreck and walked toward the faint lights of the city. Each step felt heavier than the last. At the edge of town, I reached a small post office. Inside, a public computer glowed quietly. I plugged in the drive one last time and selected Send All. Hundreds of files uploaded to every news outlet listed on the screen. When the final bar reached 100%, I whispered, "For Lena. For Laura." Then I pulled the drive out, snapped it in half, and dropped it into a trash bin. Outside, dawn was breaking. The first light touched the sea. Calm again, as if nothing had happened. My phone buzzed once. A message from an unknown number. "It's over. He's gone. But they'll come for you next." I looked out at the rising sun, the wind cold on my face, and said softly, "Let them try." Then,